Welcome and thank you for attending today's Technical Assistance webinar. The webinar is presented by Amity Foundation, acting as the third-party administrator for LA County's Justice, Care, and Opportunities Department, and the JCOD CFCI Care Grants. The JCOD, or Justice, Care, and Opportunities Department, CFCI, or Care First Community Investment Grants, are the result of ballot measure J, voted in by LA County residents in 2020. Care First Community Investment Funds are intended to be invested directly into communities and alternatives to incarceration that address negative outcomes caused by racially driven criminal legal system inequities and long-term economic disinvestment. Today's webinar is being recorded. You do not have to be on camera. Understand that if you are on camera, your image may be captured in the recording. Staying on the webinar represents your consent to being recorded. Please note the following legal disclaimer, also down in the bottom left-hand side of the slide on your screen. The material presented does not constitute legal advice and is only intended to provide information. Organizations and individuals should independently verify that any information presented is appropriate or applicable to their situation before acting on it. Next slide, please. I would like to introduce you to today's presenters. My name is Rebecca Gray. I'm the Grant Administrator for Amity Foundation Third Party Administrator. I'll pass it over to Mina.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mina Carrion, and I am the Training and Technical Assistance Coordinator.
At Amity, we incorporate teachings that center the community before we begin our work. Today, we will use the LA County Land Acknowledgement to recognize the price paid by individuals that has resulted in efforts such as Care First Community Investment. We recognize that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tataviam, Serrano, Kich, and Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in the genocide of the First Peoples. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. Next slide, please.
All right, so welcome everyone. Today we are here to explore the importance of embracing diversity, equity, and inclusion in our workplace. So our goal is to understand what DEI means, why it matters, and how we can foster a more inclusive environment. Most companies know that including wellness in the workplace is critical to overall employee health and satisfaction. However, without a DEI initiative behind it, most wellness and benefit programs will fall flat. DEI is the foundation for all other wellness and benefits programs to thrive. According to a study done by McKinsey & Company, 78% of today's workforce believe it's essential to work for an organization that prioritizes DEI, including 58% who cite it as very important. So, what is DEI exactly? So DEI stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and has emerged as an essential pillar of a thriving and welcoming workplace in today's interconnected world. DEI encompasses a range of policies, practices, and attitudes that ensure equal opportunities for all individuals. By promoting DEI, organizations foster innovation, creativity, and collaboration, increasing employee satisfaction and overall performance. To accelerate diversity and inclusion in the workplace, it's important to first understand your people. What is their experience in the workplace? Do employees feel included, valued, and able to be their authentic selves? How are leaders already cultivating an inclusive environment? Knowing your leaders and team's perceptions provides valuable insight to help you consciously chart a way forward. It takes high quality DEI practices to get diverse talent in the door, but high quality leadership to make them want to stay. So, a little bit deeper into what is diversity in the workplace. It often refers to the visible differences that we see at first glance: gender, age, race, or physical disabilities, for example. But there are many differences that cannot be seen: personality, culture, experiences, beliefs, identity, ethnicity. Ultimately, to embrace diversity is to embrace all the ways that someone is unique, the diversity that is seen, not seen, said, and unsaid. The benefits of diversity and inclusion in the workplace is that diverse groups outperform groups of like-minded experts. Diversity spurs innovation and engagement, as we stated before, and better financial results. It is said that organizations with above average diversity are 2.4 times more likely to outperform their peers financially. And companies that are more inclusive tend to be stronger at attracting and retaining all types of talent and are much more likely to be ranked as a best place to work. So, we will start off by talking a little bit more about diversity, which I would like to think of as the mosaic of human experience. Diversity is the acknowledgement and appreciation of the various ways in which people are different and unique. In our work, we can firsthand embrace diversity as enriching our communities, workplace, and educational institutions. It's not just about recognizing differences, but also about valuing them. Diversity brings a wealth of perspectives, experiences, and ideas that can drive innovation, foster creativity, and lead to better decision making and problem solving. In our advocacy, we can emphasize that embracing diversity in our community reveals the beautiful spectrum of human identity and expression. It's a powerful reminder that no single story can encapsulate the entire human experience and that each person's story is valuable. So if you guys feel comfortable, definitely drop in the chat how your organization embraces diversity. So, equity, or leveling the playing field. So, equity is really the pursuit of fairness and justice. This is particularly close to a lot of our mission statements because we have experienced and witnessed the inequalities faced by our communities in different spaces. Equity means recognizing the disparities and actively working to dismantle the barriers that prevent people from participating fully in society. Equity refers to fairness or justice in the way people are treated. The focus of a lot of our organizations and individuals can create equitable environments in spaces such as workshops, speaking engagements, and just our work environments. It involves not just passive acceptance, but active efforts to understand and accommodate the unique needs and challenges faced by our marginalized communities. And finally, inclusion. So, the power of belonging. Inclusion is the creation of environments where everyone feels welcomed, respected, and valued. It's about more than just being present, it's about being a part of something. In some of our experiences, true inclusion in the context of our communities means having our voices heard, our identities acknowledged, and our contributions recognized. Inclusion is crucial because it impacts our mental and emotional well-being. When people feel included, they are more likely to be engaged, productive, and loyal. In our engagements with various of organizations, such as all of you on here, you all have stressed the importance of creating inclusive spaces where everyone feels a sense of belonging and empowerment. So, why does DEI matter exactly? Well, we can think of it as the right thing to do. We can talk about it in our mission and as in our values of as a company. We can talk about the culture you want to create and what you want to stand for and against. You can also spend some time educating your team about what you mean by diversity, equity, and inclusion. I always encourage organizations to share your data and statistics that resonates most with you about your business, and we'll actually get more into the data a little bit in the later slides. But DEI matters because it really brings a range of perspectives for your organization. It builds trust, it builds community, it really ensures that your organization ensures that services and programs are accessible and effective for all community members. So you may be thinking, how do we implement DEI initiatives? So definitely organizations must commit to implementing DEI initiatives throughout their operations in order to create a truly inclusive workspace. So a few essential steps in order to get started, we recommend assessing and acknowledging biases. So conducting regular training and fostering self-awareness can help mitigate biases and create a fairer work environment. Establishing clear policies, develop and communicate policies promoting your values around DEI, such as equal employment opportunities, anti-discrimination, and harassment prevention. These types of policies should be accessible to all employees and enforced consistently. Diverse hiring practices. So implement strategies to attract diverse talent by expanding recruitment channels, promoting job opportunities to underrepresented groups, and utilizing various interview panels. Also, you are able to reevaluate your job requirements to ensure that they are inclusive and not inadvertently excluding qualified candidates. And ensure leadership is the top supporter of any DEI initiative. Investing in DEI initiatives goes beyond mere compliance. It is a larger investment in the well-being of your employees. Organizations can create a healthier work environment that nurtures their workforce's physical, mental, and emotional wellness by fostering a sense of belonging, providing growth opportunities, and promoting inclusive communication. So let's dive into 10 best practices for DEI and belonging goals. So I'm going to throw in that belonging in there as well. Organizations that want to create this welcoming space should set and strive to reach diverse and inclusive goals. It helps to create a workplace that values the wide range of backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives of its employees and benefits an organization in the longer run. So let's dive into the 10 best practices. So let's improve awareness of all of the issues in the workplace. So focus on getting employees together to understand issues of inclusion and diversity in your company. This can be done through a seminar, through a company-wide brief, or through one-on-one meetings or team meetings between managers and their teams. During this time, you should also communicate the goals you've set for your DEI values and mission. So you also want to promote the DEI and belonging in the workplace. By promoting this, you allow individuals to avoid the challenges and barriers that they often face in companies that are not necessarily aware of these issues. Start a mentorship program for your employees. So many organizations will match employees with different backgrounds with leaders across the organization. And this can actually really advance someone's career. If you match them well, depending on the goals of their personal goals, you can pair employees that may not have certain experience and they are able to learn and grow faster. Start an ERG group, so an employee resource group. This is a great way to build a culture and a supportive development space for your employees. These groups can definitely range in topics. I've definitely seen them in different spaces, such as a BIPOC group, a parent group, a veteran group, a neurodiverse employee group, um, family group, people who want to learn more about finances group. So it really can differ. I also would, another strategy would be develop strategies to recruit talent from diverse backgrounds. So we know that diverse organizations perform better. We had already stated that in a previous slide, but you are able to change your recruitment style by diversifying where you source your applicants. Again, rewrite those job descriptions to have gender neutral language. Take steps to remove unconscious biases during your interview process and provide mentors again to all new employees through onboarding and continued development. Having a diverse talent and leadership is also really important. Having that diverse leadership team allows your employees to feel like they can become leaders as well. It also promotes inclusive leadership, and that leadership really assures that all team members feel that they are treated respectfully and fairly, that they are valued, and that they are given a sense of belonging and are confident to grow within your organization. So continuing on, other ways to practice this is by also culturally sensitive promotional materials. So these can be important for future and current employees to feel comfortable within your company. It is important that they have a sense of belonging again and that they don't feel disrespected. Build an inclusive community. So you're able to do this by inviting your team to share more about your culture, create ways to show caring and recognition, create welcoming virtual meetings, and teach your team how to be inclusive. So promote inclusive behavior. So there's a lot of different ways that you could go about this throughout the day. This means, becoming an active listener, consciously connecting with your employees, consider their wants, their needs, and encouraging others to do the same. It's really important that we communicate empathetically in all of our work environments. And survey your employees. You're not going to really know what your employees want or what they need unless you hear about their feedback. I would definitely recommend using, a Gallup style survey, using someone outside of your organization to conduct the survey so that it really is anonymous and that, you're remaining true to the integrity of keeping your employees' feedback anonymous and, so that no one feels unsafe of giving their honest feedback. And do it quite regularly, see how you are improving from the previous survey. And then link again executive compensation to diversity metrics. So, a strong indicator of whether or not your organization prioritizes DEI and belonging initiatives is who's responsible for results. So, leading organizations are definitely changing their incentive programs to reflect the goals behind DEI and belonging. So, a little bit about data, because we all know how much data is just so important, right? Data is evidence. And in DEI, data is super important. It definitely helps organizations make informed decisions. Data provides a clear picture of your current DEI state, but it also helps in setting realistic and measurable DEI goals. It can hold your organization accountable with this data, you're able to track your progress and your outcomes to ensure further accountability of your organization. You're able to identify areas needing improvement and measures that impact your DEI initiatives. And transparency. So we all love transparency, right? So sharing data promotes transparency and trust within your organization. And again, surveys, super important. So how do we embrace diversity at work? I broke it down into 8 strategies. And the first one is pretty simple. You just start the conversation, whether that's in a one-on-one space with your team members, in a team meeting. It can be really difficult to find the right way to start, but once you open up that door, you set the tone and you send the message, the conversation really starts to flow. So it's easy when you have questions already set up, such as when did you realize you had an opportunity to embrace diversity? Have you observed or experienced excluding behavior? What impact did it have? Use that momentum and your authentic experience to become open and vulnerable with your team. Again, increase that accountability and transparency. So, what are you doing to increase DEI? Teams don't always feel that there is enough being done where there can be improvements. However, by continuing a conversation that is fully transparent, you're ensuring that efforts are aligned with your employees' important areas. And consider who has the most critical role in driving diversity, equity, and inclusion in your workplace. So, when we really break it down, it really is leadership. How explicit is it that your leaders are accountable? Develop inclusive leadership skills. Do your leaders know how to be inclusive? Being aware of our unconscious bias around DEI is not always enough. Awareness is an important step, and it doesn't automatically lead to action. Leaders often need training to learn the tools, the frameworks, and the skills to bridge the gap between theory and practice. We can do this by teaching leaders how to create an inclusive environment with blending the learning approach that engages leaders' heads and hearts. I would definitely encourage you all to be wary of separating the inclusion as a separate skill or additional thing to do. It isn't always something to apply in a certain situations, but it can be woven into the actions that you take every day. So definitely reflect on the following mantra: great leadership is inclusive leadership. Notice diversity during decisions and discussions. So while anyone can be a victim of unconscious bias, those who are disproportionately harmed during the process of that biases, um, it can have real consequences and effects to the team. So biases, again, they can affect hiring decisions, they can affect performance management, delegation, succession decisions. So we really want to embrace diversity by paying attention to who is at the table and then create that table for them. Leaders need to create conditions where diverse viewpoints are represented. So be purposeful in seeking out people who have opposing views, delegate equitably, and proactively identify development opportunities for everybody. So pay attention to how people are being treated. So hybrid and work environments highlight growing challenges for DEI efforts. It can sometimes, we feel that we have a safer space at home. However, it can create microaggressions, and we want to stay away from that. So definitely converse with those who are introverts. It's easy to hide behind a screen, not feel supported, feel lost. So while we know that flexible work offers huge benefits, it also risks the widening of the diversity gaps and creating new ones. So to fully embrace diversity, leaders must pay attention to how everyone is being treated in all forms of work environments. And act as a vocal ally. So being an ally is being a catalyst for change. We've all observed, you know, disrespectful or excluding behavior in, I'm sure, various aspects of our lives, but do we know how to intervene when we notice this? Embracing diversity means advocating on behalf of others and creating fair conditions for everyone. And learning how to advocate for oneself can be very difficult. It's not something that we're always taught. So lending a helping hand when you do see something goes a long way. So definitely being that ally, it takes courage and empathy, but it really means a lot when you are an ally to someone else who doesn't necessarily know how to advocate for themselves yet. So reflect and commit to change. So part of embracing a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion requires leaders to look inward, consider your own leadership strengths and opportunities, and then take action. Use self-insights to make a commitment and ask for feedback. And then finally, build your platform on empathy, feedback, and psychological safety. Taking action to embrace diversity requires everyone. It is not just an individual, a team, it's really an organizational effort. If socializing, calling, and behavior becomes important, be mindful that this can feel uncomfortable at first. It can also be tough for teams if giving feedback is not part of your culture. Teams can be fearful of, being punished or having concerns of reactions from others when they do speak out. So definitely be considerate of others by maintaining, you know, anonymity of their self-esteem, of being empathetic. After all, some microaggressions are not always intentional, so empathy is definitely key. On this journey of striving for equity or equality, your teams are likely to be doing their very best. But as leaders, you can spread the message that they can always be doing better. Leaders must role model the behaviors that they want to see in their teams and develop their own feedback. Embracing diversity is definitely making the development of psychological safety a key priority within teams. So I am going to leave you with this final slide of embracing diversity is realizing you are better together. So embracing diversity in the workplace requires you to continue the dialogue. It's important to discuss what your business and team specifically need. And it's important to remember that organizations that get it right will need to experiment and get things wrong sometimes and grow, learn, and move forward. Recognize that what you are trying to do can be difficult and it can involve disrupting deeply ingrained habits and biases. So I offer you this moment now to acknowledge all of the ways that you and others are showing up already to embrace diversity. Celebrate your efforts, acknowledge your progress, and challenge yourselves and others to be better together. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. And looking at the chat, I don't think there are any questions, but if anyone does have one, feel free to drop it in the chat.
We had a couple of comments in the chat when we asked for, how people institute DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And again, you know, this just scratches the surface of resources that you can look to begin to build these ideas out. Again, as I was listening to this, I was thinking about how so much of this is the idea. We're reaching for an ideal, right? We're reaching for an ideal. I think the only other comment I wanted to make is you're born with bias. You're born with bias. Bias is not about being morally good or evil. It's not about being good or bad. But being able to see your bias is the only time when we can be able to heal these rifts. So,
Yeah, no, definitely.
yeah, I don't see any questions.
I just
Amazing.
got a comment. This
Yeah.
is Kevin calling from APU. The challenges I've seen over the years will be, everybody don't work at the same level, and so I will see how people will shame people that knew less, could do less than them, and I don't like that approach. So I like to empower that person, because everybody got their strengths and they got their weaknesses. So I just try to get my team to wrap around the person that show weakness in certain areas to help support them in them areas to build them up. Because like if one person is lacking in that chain, it make all of us slower, work a little bit slower. So I just like to improve and help support each other in the areas that they're weak in.
Right. I mean, it's definitely a top down, like this is a big responsibility for leadership to take on because like you said, it is, as a leader, you're going to see these strengths and weaknesses in individuals. Yeah. So recognizing that and not expecting that everyone's going to get to the same place at the same time, all of that can make it really difficult.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your input.
Thank you, everyone. So today was a little bit short, which isn't bad. Um, so I don't see any questions, which is amazing. And I love to hear all or see all of the comments of how you all incorporate DEI in your organization already. Again, it is a learning space. It is something that, we do sometimes need to learn about, and that's completely fine. It's okay to challenge ourselves with thinking differently and making space better for everybody. Next week, we will have the audit journey with Rebecca and Michael of our compliance team. So we are very excited for that. And yeah, I think that's it. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And feel free to email us if you have any questions. Have a great day, and we'll give you back 30 minutes of your time. Bye, everyone.